All right, today we are watching a program called Combat Activities in Korea. Can you guess what this one's about? Yeah, this one is about combat activities in Korea, and it's by the United States Department of the Army. So this is like the US propaganda that we produced in order to inform our population on what was going on in Korea. And before we get started, I just want to say that the reason I chose this today is because I know next to nothing about the Korean War. Like really like nothing at all. Like I don't want to say I know nothing, but like I really do know very little. So I want to start learning about the Korean War through programs like this. I know the propaganda aspect of it will definitely skew my education of the Korean War, but I don't know. I think it's also important to learn both sides of the story. So at the very least, by the end of this, I want to understand like the American perspective of why we got into the Korean War. You know, like I want to understand how it happened, why America fought in it. You know, I don't know enough about the Korean War. So here we are. Today we are learning about combat activities in Korea. 1951. Here we go. Let's dive in, right? All right. Hang on. It's going. It's taking a second. Okay, there we go. Hang on. Okay. It took a full 22 seconds of pure black film for us to get to this title. I just want the audience to know that sometimes there's weird stuff that happened. I just watched 20 straight seconds of nothing but black just for us to get here. Just wanted you guys to know that. All right, now we're at the Combat Bulletin number 108 of the Armed Forces. So this is definitely not the first combat bulletin by any means, but hopefully we get a good understanding of what's happening. Again, we do have that very patriotic, you know, trumpets blasting, snare drums a-pounding music too. Like this is your classic, like, American propaganda for you. This film was photographed by cameramen of the armed forces. That's interesting. I mean, I guess I could have assumed that, but I guess that's good to know. So this was actually filmed by soldiers like on the front lines of the battles, right? Like I hope we get some crazy footage. Now that they're waving this little disclaimer in front of us, this footage better be good. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just say that and just not have like incredible like combat footage. All right, the UN offensive continues. That's interesting how they referred to it as the UN offensive. Like already even that is starting to inform me as to how the US either like internalized it or how they like sold it to others. You know, like, oh, this isn't an American conflict. This is a UN conflict that we are helping be a part of. You know, it's interesting. I never really thought that the UN offensive was really how people referred to the conflict in Korea. And I feel like that's something that maybe a lot of you watching didn't know as well. I don't know. I honestly don't know how much I should know and how much I should not know about this conflict. So hang on, what this does tell us is that this is not the beginning of the offensive, right? It said the UN offensive continues. So we're already in like the middle of the war. Interesting. Oh wow, this is cool. So we're getting a close-up map of Korea, and we can see the 38 parallel, a very important line in Korea, and then we can see Seoul, and then we can actually see the dotted line of the North Korean territory protruding into South Korea. This is amazing. And what's the date? February 51, March 51? Wow, okay, so this is, yeah, like the active battlefield. It looks like Seoul was like either a battlefield or like was already conquered by the North at this time.
During the period of 20 February to 20 March, the United Nations...
That's so funny how that's how he said it. He said 20 February to 20 March. Like people back then, maybe the military, maybe it was specifically the military, but that's how they said the date back then. 20 February to 20 March. You know, like that's just not how we say it anymore, you know? Like, that's how dates are written, but that's not how we say it. It's just, that's funny.
Nation's Operation Killer continues.
Operation Killer? That's the name that the Army went with for this part of the war, Operation Killer. I feel like that alone tells us, like, a little bit about, like, the American perspective on things.
In the face of weakening enemy resistance and the annual torrential rains.
In the face of weakening resistance and annual rain. So the monsoon season is coming, and it seems like we're weakening the resistance. Is this going to be like a positive video where like the South conquers the North for this part? I know the line went back and forth. Like I know at one point pretty much all of Korea was conquered by the North, and I know at one point pretty much all of Korea was conquered by the South as well. So I wonder if we're going to get a glimpse of like one of those periods right here.
In the western sector, UN forces have reached the Han River.
UN forces have reached the Han River. So that's interesting. So that looks south of Seoul. So it looks like Seoul was under North Korean control by this time.
Sector.
Again, that's something that I just like have trouble wrapping my head around as well. Like even though South Korea's capital or like biggest city, most important city was Seoul, it was just captured like very early in the war. And yet the country itself continued to fight. That's just like that is hard for me to wrap my head around. Like I don't know. I feel like in games like Civ or whatever, you capture somebody's capital, like that's over for them. Like they lost, you know. Like it's so bizarre that you can have your capital captured and still like keep fighting, you know, and not win, but I guess like call it a draw.
While in the central sector, they have driven north of Wonju to the vicinity of Cheopyeong. On 12 March, Allied troops...
12 March. That still is never going to get old.
Troops slam across the Han 15 miles east of Seoul. The attack cuts red supply and
I wish we could see the river just so that we understand the geography of this battle a little bit more.
communication lines to the city.
I like the little arrows are moving on the screen though. Again, this is a little bit of a complex animation. Again, a little complex map animation. Like these are harder to do than people give them credit for.
And on 13 March, the communists abandoned Seoul without firing a shot.
The communists, hang on, to the 13th of March, the communists abandoned Seoul without firing a shot. That sounds, one, very lucky, but also very interesting, you know, like they left the city. That's just, I don't know, I'm already learning like so much about the Korean War. I don't know if this is like the best information for me to be learning like first, but this is definitely interesting information. I'm familiar enough with the Korean War. Like I'm not like a complete idiot. Like I understand like, you know, I understand that it happened in the wake of World War II and it was communism versus capitalism. Like I understand like the scenario, I guess. I don't have any like in-depth knowledge on it, which is what we're hopefully going to learn today.
With our recapture of the capital city, enemy forces start a general withdrawal on all fronts, offering only token resistance with rear guard elements.
Oh yeah, so we are actually seeing like the tides turning, like the resistance is fleeing. Or who was the resistance in this scenario? Were the Northerners the resistance or were the Southerners resistance? I guess they were both resistance just to each other, but I don't know.
UN units in the central sector push beyond Huncheon and threaten the important red supply base of Chunshan. By 20 March, UN forces are closely massed across Korea in a general line 15...
This is crazy though that like the Western forces or the UN forces just got out of World War II, right? Like the Western forces were like as strong as they ever were. And then like somehow the North Koreans were fighting them. I know the Chinese were also on the North Korean side and the Soviets. Maybe that's probably what it was. It was probably just like this was just, yeah, a Cold War conflict. It was the Soviets versus the Americans. That's really what it was, honestly. But it is still amazing that the North Koreans were able to hold off like the full force of the American military immediately after World War I, you know, or World War II, you know? Especially when we had nuclear weapons, you know, like that's the audacious part about all this. And people wanted to use them here too. Like they had a whole lot of plans for using nukes. We didn't go through with, thankfully, but like, I don't know, that's just, this conflict could have gone a lot differently, I guess. Like, honestly, when you compare the option of using nukes to, like, just eradicate the Korean Peninsula compared to what happened in our timeline, like, honestly, what happened is optimal compared to what might have happened, you know?
15 or 20 miles from the 38th parallel and continue their advance along all fronts.
This is cool though. It's cool that like we're getting to see the lines of the war actually change. Like I've seen maps of the Korean Peninsula with the line changing, but this is an actual like authentic map from that era where this is happening. It's just it's so cool. Okay, so the push persists despite rain. That's funny. That's funny how like, I don't know, the rain or the weather gets a mention in like the the war plans. Like, I guess that makes sense. You have to account for weather, but it's just like, I don't know. It's funny how, like, no matter how complex your war is, like the rain, the simplest of like natural occurrences can still like bog down all plans. Like no matter how good they are, how complex they are, like that can all be undone by simple rain.
During the first week of Operation Killer,
During the first week, Operation Killer, that does not like, I don't know, like did no one like appreciate the irony at least?
constant rains and the annual spring thaws produce quagmire conditions, which do more.
Quagmire conditions. That's funny how they described the weather conditions of Korea as a quagmire. Like, yeah, I guess maybe, I don't know. The whole thing's a quagmire too.
To impede advancing UN columns than spotty red resistance.
UN columns. I'm so curious about these UN columns because they're very purposefully not saying they're American soldiers. They're UN soldiers. But where are these UN soldiers coming from?
1st Cavalry Division elements grind slowly.
1st Cavalry Division elements. So I guess the cavalry in this in this day and age are not riding horses. They're riding like jeeps.
Slowly northward in the central sector above Wonju, on the heels of communist rear guard units. The purpose of Operation...
See, this is crazy, though. Like, this footage, although it's not the best footage, like, this is the craziest sort of footage, really. Like, just soldiers marching down streets, changing the lines, like, actively with their feet changing the lines on maps. You know, like, this, when you see lines changing on maps, this is what it looks like. This is the act of changing the lines on the maps.
Operation Killer is identical.
And it's just a bunch of, dark figures marching through a street. It's just like, I don't know, once you understand and appreciate the things that you're seeing, it just like, it opens up your world so much more.
With that of the UN's limited offensive of the preceding month.
I love that, the UN's limited offensive. It's just, it's funny to think that the UN was like leading an offensive, like the UN is supposed to be like a non-biased, like a safe, like mediator of conflicts. But I guess this was like the first test ever of the UN, and they were sending in like offensive units. Like I don't know. There's something to be said about that.
General Ridgway again emphasizes that enemy casualties are his main objective.
General Ridgway again emphasizes that enemy casualties are his main objective. He's not concerned with like capturing a city or like establishing a stronghold or a foothold on anything. No, like his objective was just to kill as many Korean people as possible. Like that's a very good piece of little information we just got out of that statement right there. It's like they didn't really care about like the lines or anything. They were just like, let's get rid of all these communists however we can. And unfortunately they tried, and they did. Not unfortunate for the communist aspect. Again, I'm not a communist or not a communist, but like it's just a shame that so much human suffering was engendered as a result of all this. I don't know.
C-119s of the Combat Cargo Command delivered...
Dude, look at these guys. These are legit paratroopers jumping out of a plane, landing behind enemy lines. Just such amazing... It's so amazing that we even have footage of this sort of stuff.
Deliver artillery ammo to the 1st Cavalry in the Central Mountain sector, where the only troublesome red resistance is encountered. The load is ejected...
I think it really is funny, the troublesome red resistance, too. It's just like, I don't know, it's funny hearing the term red for, like, communists, because that, to me, to my ears, that just reads as, like, such an old thing to say. Obviously, it is. This is from 1951, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just one of those old terms that you don't use anymore. Even to describe a communist, like, even in America, when politicians call somebody else a communist, they never say you're a red, Like, red now, in our political sense, and even maybe a little bit back then, red just means a different side of our politics than it does in this context.
Ejected in a compact cluster, resulting in minimum spread on the drop zone.
Oh, hang on. So these aren't paratroopers. These are just supplies. That's interesting. My bad. I feel like I do that a lot. I just like jump to a conclusion based on what I see. So this is just a supply drop.
With road traffic mired, airlift operations again pay off to the advantage of our forces.
Yeah, again, this is in the age that like only one side of the fight even has airplanes. Like today, pretty much both sides either do or do not have airplanes. But in this day and age, this was like, this was like all the airplanes that were made for World War II that had no use after the end of the war. So I don't know. Maybe the North Koreans had planes. The Soviets could have given them planes. I don't think so, though. Dude, I feel like what we're seeing is like an absolute like holocaust in the background. I can't actually make out any of the details. This program is not high resolution enough for me to make out what all these weird shapes are in the background, but I have a really bad feeling about what these weird shapes are. Oh, maybe they're just bombs actually. That's actually better than what I was thinking. I know that doesn't sound good, but like I was really not thinking there were good things behind these people.
Nose fuses are screwed into place at an artillery forward position in the Korean hills. Powder increments are unpacked, ready for immediate use.
Dude, the fact that like powder, like gunpowder was just like shipped in these little like canvas bags. I don't know. It's just like, what if something catches on fire? I don't know. It's so bizarre seeing like the seriousness of war matched with like, I don't know, the non-seriousness of everyday life.
The chain of supply ends as armored artillery batteries fire outgoing rounds at enemy-held points in the wooded hills.
That's interesting. So that's how they're pushing the enemy back, I guess, right? They're just nailing the enemy bases with artillery shots. Like, I guess that's how wars work, really. Like I don't even think there's really much different here with like the war that's happening in Ukraine, you know? Like you just use artillery rounds to clear positions and then you claim them with your soldiers and then you just rinse and repeat until you've conquered the whole place. Like that's pretty much the same strategy, really.
Here, white phosphorus shells pound communist...
White phosphorus shells. Holy moly. All right, so that's a chemical weapon that we just mentioned. We are using white phosphorus to shell these North Koreans. And that's pretty insane. I'm not that familiar with white phosphorus. I don't know what it does, but like, I can only imagine it's horrible.
Position.
I can only imagine that's like an actual war crime, right? Like you're not allowed or you're not supposed to use chemical weapons. Like, I mean, I guess all is fair in love and war, but like, that sounds like a war crime to me. Like, it sounds like they just admitted to using a war crime. I guess they hadn't decided on that yet, right? Like, the UN is the one who made the Charter on Human Rights or whatever. Like, I feel like the UN is the only, like, body on Earth that can actually, like, declare a war crime. So if the UN is leading this offensive that is engaging in war crimes, that's just that's a lot. That's a lot to process for me, at least. I feel like, again, so much could be written and spoken about that. I can't even go into detail about it, but let's go.
Air bursts hurl metal fragments into the enemy emplacements.
Air bursts. Okay, that's another interesting weapon. I don't think that's a war crime, but I'm not quite sure what that is.
Fragments into the enemy emplacements.
Fragments. And so does it like blow up and it sends like shrapnel everywhere? It's like a little like grenade launcher or something? That's interesting. Hang on, look at this soldier. Oh man, I can barely make it out. Does this soldier to you guys look African American? He looks African American to me. Again, I love seeing that, like, no matter what era of American history, like, there were just all different sorts of people, you know? Like, I know it's weird to say, but I like seeing that there was an African American soldier in Vietnam. Like, that's so interesting to me.
Since the Korean War began, the UN forces' close and plentiful artillery support has helped greatly to neutralize the large numerical superiority of the Reds.
UN forces' close and plentiful artillery support helped to eliminate the large numerical advantage the enemy had, right? So they're saying like this artillery helped eliminate the numbers advantage that the Koreans had. So pretty much they're admitting to just killing so many Koreans that it's leveling the playing field using this artillery cannon. So I don't know. That's another crazy statement when you actually unpack what they're saying. And I feel like that's everything in a program like this. Like every single statement is actually just like thousands of lives that have been lost, you know?
And here, artillery again softens communist defenses.
Yeah, like here again, artillery softens communist defenses. Like what you can't see is just like the village of women and children on this mountain that just keeps getting blown up.
Clearing the way for the renewed Allied offensive.
Clearing the way for the renewed Allied offensive. Yeah, I don't know. Just like the language they're using is implying like some travesties taking place in these hills. Air Force pounds enemy. You know, you could have written that a different way, I think. Like Air Force bombs enemy, Air Force like destroys enemy, but no, the Air Force is just pounding the enemy. Okay, got it. Good for those guys, I guess. Again, this footage is not great footage, but what it's showing is just so remarkable. We are seeing like aerial combat for the Korean War from 1951 like on film. It's just incredible.
United Nations air power continues its around-the-clock...
United Nations air power. Again, like where is the UN getting all its air power from? Like, can we just say like the American like Air Force? Like I know that's what it is. I don't think the British are like donating their Air Force. I don't think anyone else has an Air Force this immediately after World War II. So like it's the Americans, trust me.
Pounding of men and materiel. Merciless attrition and interdiction sorties.
So they continue their around-the-clock pounding of men and materiel. So they're just constantly bombing things of the North Koreans, which again, like, all is fair in love and war. I have to ask, like, how much of these, like, army installments are actually just like villages, like how many people are actually dying from these attacks, and like who is dying, or is it soldiers or is it just villagers? I don't know. I feel like there is stuff that we're not being told about this conflict. Again, this is literal propaganda from the United States Army. So yeah, they're not going to tell us like all the bad things that they're doing to the North Koreans, but you can almost tell just by what they're saying that they're doing bad things.
Prevent the communists from consolidating.
Merciless attrition. Like, yeah, like language like that just helps communicate. Like they are employing merciless attrition to their enemy. Like they are starving their people out. Like again, like even if they're not dropping bombs on villages, they are practicing merciless attrition on their people. So they are just pretty much starving the entire North Korean populace right here.
Prevent the communists from consolidating in any large buildup of forces.
To prevent the communists from consolidating any large number of forces. So they're really just starving this entire country in order to break their will to fight. And part of the reason this is so important is to understand why North Koreans are the way that they are now. Like the North Koreans had such a visceral reaction to the West because of this war, because of the war crimes that took place during this war. So it's just, this lends you so much more understanding for your enemies, really. Like, not their enemies. I'm not going to say the North Koreans are my enemy necessarily, but like you understand why they are counter to us in this day and age because of how we treated them all the way back then. Merciless attrition, though, like that phrase, geez, like that's a terrifying phrase, merciless attrition. That was crazy, though. I know I say this, like it is crazy just seeing explosions, like military explosions. There's a difference between like a movie explosion that's just like a bunch of fire and gasoline, and like an explosion that you say to yourself like, wow, like a bunch of people like literally just died in that like burst of black smoke, like that. If this was a successful attack, mission accomplished, like I literally just watched people die, like not really, but like maybe, That's what I'm saying though. With a military explosion, you never really know like if people like literally just died in front of your eyes, like that's why watching explosions in programs like this really like rattles my brain a little, is because these are real explosions, these aren't movie explosions. Oh, and look, so we see this explosion, but then we keep flying and we see this village right next to it. So this explosion took place really on the outskirts of this village. Dude, this is crazy. We're literally seeing the missiles firing from the plane. This is nuts. Again, like crazy that we actually have this footage. Like I can barely even tell what's happening, but just based on that alone, it's crazy, it's wild. Like we are first person shooting at a North Korean village right now. Like we all just felt the perspective that a pilot had as they blew up like a village, like that's wild. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I need to address it every single time it happens, or else I'm just like letting these, casualties go by the Like again, all this texture, right? It's really hard to tell what's actually happening because the resolution is so low. But I'm pretty sure like this textured area in the middle of the screen is like a village, and those are all buildings, and that's why it's all textured and everything. And we just watched a missile just fly straight towards this place. And obviously there's no like perfect aiming in this world, right? Like there's no precision missiles by this time. So like we are just firing missiles at a village, you know? Like that's it. Like that's all we're doing. Like we're not taking out like enemy soldiers. We're just like destroying the village so that they can't occupy it anymore. You know, like that's what you have to understand about this footage. And yeah, like we've seen missiles hit multiple different spots of this village. Is it a village? I really cannot tell. Like I can't see what we're actually shooting at right here, but like I'm pretty sure this is a village. See, like that explosion, like I don't even want to say it out loud, but like you know people lost their lives in this explosion, right? Like it's so big. It's just I don't know. I feel like we need to address it every time I see it. Yeah, this is huge too. But you can see the scale of this explosion is huge too. It must have been like a big explosion. That sounds dumb to say, but like that's all I have to say. Oh, wow, cool. So you even get to see the cloud. Like, oh, that was a really cool shot. Just getting to see those little vortexes on the cloud as our plane is about to fly through it. That's that was a cool shot. I don't know. See, now we're just over like a farm field, I think. Like this is just like rice paddies here. Are those people? Those were people in the rice field, I think. I think those were like 3 people working the rice field right there. And there's an explosion right there. That's crazy. See, this is why I watch this sort of stuff. It's just to understand that like there were just farmers like in that field and like a mortar shell like crater right over there with a fire burning. That's so bizarre. Like they are attacking a farm village, not like those weren't soldiers, you know? And part of the strategy, again, merciless attrition. Like rob these people their ability to even make their food for them and you'll break them. You know, like that's the strategy that's being employed by the UN, by the United Nations in this conflict. And it's just wild. Geez, hang on a second. So that was like more of a machine gun being shot at the roof of this building. Did you guys see that? Like you saw all those sparks. Like they're shooting a whole bunch of bullets and the bullets are ricocheting or sparking off of this roof. Like again, those are real gunshots. Like that's real like war action conflict happening right in front of you. That's just like, were there soldiers in there or was that just a barn full of like pigs that just got murdered? You know, like you'll never know. You'll never know, and that's part of understanding conflicts like this. It's just like all the needless suffering and destruction that takes place just for war. You know. Yeah, look, we're taking a second round of shots at this barn too, so this must be like where soldiers are hiding out or something. There could still be farm animals in here as well though. But yeah, the plane is doing laps, firing at this roof over and over again. That's so wild. It's so wild that we're seeing it, you know, like this is crazy. I can't even tell what we're looking at now. This is just like nothing but smoke. Wow, but then you saw all those like secondary explosions in that burst. I don't even know what that was blowing up, but like there were lots of little mini explosions too. This is just, again, this is trying to convey like the chaos of war, really, right? Okay, so hang on. So this is a pond. This is like a house back here. I really can't tell what's happening. But we're firing our plane machine gun at something. Yeah, wow. And then you can see the plane actually level off because it's aiming down while it's shooting down, and then it's leveling off. And we can actually see that because we're seeing from the plane's perspective. That's wild. This is like some of the most wild footage I've ever seen. Obviously, like there's a lot more of this sort of footage that we're gonna watch later in this channel, obviously, but like for now, this is still pretty wild. So yeah, just like another farm village, just like in utter ruins on flames from these planes. Yeah, you know what? It honestly occurred to me that I've just been watching footage of like planes attacking villages for like a couple minutes now. Like, yeah, this is totally a village, right? Like, there's no way this is a farm. Like, this is a full village with like a lot, like hundreds, if not thousands of people. Jeez, yeah, like this footage is not great, but like it is certainly at least telling us that there is some horrible stuff happening here. It's crazy, they're not even playing music. Like this is just like the sound of war that we're listening to as well. Like just the explosions, you know, one after the other. Like there's no heroic music or there's no like danger music. It's just silence and explosions. Yeah, like this is totally a town. Like we can tell, I can tell by the buildings, we just fired a missile straight at this town. Holy crap. Yeah, and like there really is no controlling these missiles. Like that could have been somebody's house, that could have been somebody's like other house. I don't know. Like there's no, I don't know. There's so much destruction taking place here. That's really what I'm trying to convey. It's like there's just, and it's not just against enemy combatants, you know, like people are going to say that defense in the comments, but like there is no way to tell that missile to blow up only the enemy house and not like the random villager's house, you know, like there's definitely, collateral. That's collateral damage for you right there. There's a lot of collateral damage taking place in these fights that is really only affecting the villagers. So it's important to remember that when you watch footage like this is most of the collateral damage has no effect on the army. It just affects the local people. Like that was we just watched a missile fire from this plane and land on those buildings. You know, like what? Are you guys not having your minds blown by this? Here it actually looks like they're firing like at a train, which is actually like kind of cool. War stuff aside, like hitting a train with a missile from a plane is actually like, I don't know, pretty cool. I don't know, like I hate to say anything related to war is cool at all because I am very much against war, but like it takes a certain amount of skill, I'd say, to hit a train from a plane. Oh shit, a missile's coming back at the plane. See, that's another type of fear I wasn't even thinking about. Like, the missile's going down. What about the missiles coming up? Oh shit, like, oh my god, it looked like that almost hit the plane too. That's crazy. Again, we just almost watched, actually, I don't know. I don't know, if that plane crashed, I don't think we'd be watching any of this footage, actually. So I guess we should be happy that plane didn't crash, but like, that's just wild. Imagine like seeing a plane crash first person from this camera. Like I doubt the camera would survive, but like that would have been crazy. Like we almost did just see, like the pilot of that plane had their life flash before their eyes because that missile almost hit them. Like holy crap. You know, it does look like they're aiming for like bridges though, or like specific infrastructure. It doesn't look like they're just terrorizing villages, even though there was some of that. Oh yeah, it looks like they just got the train right there. I guess that's mission accomplished for them, right? I really hope there's more than just this sort of footage, though. I know that we're taking a brief pause from the story to just watch these shots from the plane, but like, I hope more goes on. I hope I'm doing more than just narrating like war footage for the next, hour. Oh, there we go, and it ends there. That's so funny. The second I started to feel like this was dragging on too long, we move on to something else. That's great. I love when that happens. Sometimes it feels like I'm telling these programs what to do. Oh, hang on. So it like full on stopped though. I think we're going on to part 2 of this or something. Yeah, there's a whole like intermission like part of this. That's weird. So we're watching part 2. It's funny. This actually happened very recently. I can't remember if it was the last one I recorded, but there seems to be something else recorded on like the tail end of this program, and we're going to watch that as well. So let's go. It looks like it's related at least to this first program though, unlike the last one that we watched. Okay, yeah, 24th Division units strike enemy. Okay. I'm pretty sure we know what's happening here now.
During the period 5 to 12 March, the United
During the period 5 to 12 March. Dude, for some reason, that just keeps making me laugh. Like, nobody says stuff like that anymore. 5 to 12 March. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's a military thing. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I just find it funny.
United Nations attrition offensive moves...
Dude, say that statement out loud. The United Nations attrition offensive. I don't know if they, like, recognized what they were saying, but, like, that is ridiculous. I gotta say it again, the United Nations attrition offensive. Like, Jesus, holy moly, man.
Steadily ahead in the Yangpyeong area north of the Han River. Across muddy and snow-streaked fields, troops of the 24th Division carry the battle to the enemy, with a heavy strike at strong communist forces entrenched on the western foothills of Korea's central mountains. Heavy armor of the United Nations moves up in close support of the 24th...
All right, the heavy armor of the UN. Can any of my tankies out there tell me what tanks these are? Are these American tanks? Are these Shermans or whatever the hell? I don't know. I don't know what American tanks are, but are these American tanks? Can you just confirm for me that this is not the United Nations? This is the American military right here? Like, I'm sorry, but this is the US, all right? Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm making an idiot of myself again, but like, I feel like this is all American hardware out here. Is that a Sherman? If that's a Sherman, then I get to be right about everything else for the rest of this video. If not, then consider it accordingly.
Division riflemen. The 8th Army's numerically superior armor enables them to supply Allied foot soldiers with maximum support. These tanks, playing on the superstitious nature of the enemy, are painted with the markings of the tiger.
That's really funny that, like, playing on the superstitions of the enemy, they painted the tanks to look like tigers. Like, that's, again, the intersectionality of, like, different cultures, right? Like the westernized military industrial culture, and then, like, the more spiritualist, animalist, native Korean culture that, like, fears animal spirits like that, right? Like, it's at an intersectionality of spirituality and industry in such a bizarre way. Like, again, you could write a whole essay in the comments about just the UN attrition offensive, decorating their tanks as like tigers to strike fear into their enemy. That's just like, that's so many levels deep right there.
Intensified armor-supported attacks of this kind.
Honestly, the eyes look kind of funny though. The eyes are not like the same size. So it kind of looks like one of those, like, I don't even know how to do the face, but it looks like, I don't know, it looks a little drunk, I guess. I don't know if this would quite scare me, is all I'm saying. Even if I was, like, terrified of tigers. I am terrified of tigers, and this still isn't scaring me. I wish we had this in color. That would be sick. If they painted this thing, like, orange and black, that would be awesome, though. Again, I don't want to say that, right? I don't want to say that this tank would be awesome if it was painted orange, you know? Like, this tank literally has probably killed, like, a whole bunch of people. So, like, no, this tank is not awesome, but, like, I don't know. I don't know how to deal with these sorts of issues, you know? Like, I do not support war at all, but, like, painting a tank orange like a tiger is kind of cool. I don't know. Like, that's just, I don't know. I don't know how to consolidate those two opposing opinions in my mind.
Are rolling back the red aggressors along most of the front and are preventing them from initiating any offensive action of their own.
Dude, like, even the turret is painted with, like, these tiger stripes. That's hilarious. I'm just picturing like these manly army men like having fun painting their tank, you know? Like that doesn't seem like a very like macho man thing to be doing, is like decorating your tank in like flashy colors.
Assault troops advance to the objective through dense underbrush, where the Reds still hold out despite the heavy artillery pounding. The attack moves to the...
See, this is like the craziest part. That like for the most part, it was just like a bunch of guys like wandering through the woods like looking for anyone. Like I don't know, like that's more of Vietnam, but like that is just like I don't know, terrifying. Like how do you just like march into brush, you know, with a gun like hoping to find somebody? Like that I don't know.
Crest of the hill, and grenades
I don't know if I could have done this job in the military of just like bunker busting.
are used to blast the remaining defenders from their deep holes and caves, which enable them to weather the pre-attack pounding.
The pre-attack pounding. See, again, that's crazy though. Like that is how you launch an attack, right? You launch the planes, you pound them first, and then you send the people in to clean up the rest. That's just, we're learning military stratagem right here.
As our advanced forces secure the heights,
You have to imagine that the military generals planning this advance were probably like the most experienced military generals in the world, maybe ever. Maybe not ever, but like for this type of war, definitely, right? Like the military generals just got finished with World War II, and then they go into Korea. So like all the same generals from World War II are still pretty much the same generals that are fighting in this war. So like you are getting the most like battle-hardened American soldiers from this.
reserve units entrench themselves in the valley to consolidate the gains. 3 midweek Chinese counterattacks are turned back by the 24th Division.
3 midweek Chinese counterattacks. See, that's interesting because that kind of suggests that the Chinese were still operating separately from the North Koreans. You know, like a Chinese counterattack is not the same as like a Reds counterattack or however they would have said it. You know, like the fact that they're specifically Chinese is interesting. That the Chinese and North Koreans weren't fighting side by side with one another. Or maybe they were. It's odd that it was specifically Chinese soldiers in this instance. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were Koreans and they just like didn't know the difference. You know, that's also very possible for people from this time.
Here in the area of the Pukan River, as the Reds attempt to outflank the 25th Division salient to the west. Other groups take time out for food and rest before resuming the attack against Red strong.
Dude, is this what food and rest looked like in the Korean War? Just like sitting on the ground, like staring in the direction you know your enemy is, just like, you know, 20 feet over in the bushes. Like this is, I don't know, this is so bizarre. Seeing like war actually taking place and like the actual things the soldiers needed to do, like, I don't know, that just, it puts a whole different perspective on your mind for like conflicts like this. I used to think like being a soldier actually sounded like a lot of fun. Like there are a lot of things about being a soldier that does sound like fun. Just like, I don't know, like going out in the outdoors, exploring, like that does sound fun, you know? But like obviously the non-fun parts are the violent parts. But like, I don't know, I always thought as a kid that like I would have fun as a soldier, but like, I don't think I would have.
Points established on the adjacent hills. In preparation for the present assault, a forward mortar position is excavated in the frozen ground halfway up the hill.
Hang on, so everything is frozen, but a second ago we were learning about how it was raining. So I don't know if we're doing this offensive like in the winter. They must be.
The mortar is emplaced in this advanced location where it will be able to fire upon the enemy-held high ground. The sights are aligned, and the 60 millimeter begins its explosive attack.
See, I feel like so much of war is also this right here, just like firing mortars. Like I feel like this is actually what like 90% of the soldiers did, you know, in this war, was just hang out and fire at the enemy location, not actually like go charging in guns ablazing. Which is interesting, which again just educates you on how wars are actually fought like on the ground, or at least how they were back then. But again, like each time we see this mortar launch one of these things, like that's a Probably, that's like a life that might have been taken, you know? Like every single time one of these things fires, like people could die. Like we are just watching like person after person maybe getting killed by these mortars. We don't know. Like you never know. And it's important to understand the weight of what we're seeing right here. Like we are actually seeing life and death taking place. It's easy to forget, but it's important for us to remember. Dang, that's a big statement right there. It's easy to forget, it's important to remember. That's like put that on a pillow or something.
A recoilless rifle is brought into
A
action.
recoilless rifle. I like that. That's so interesting. I hate admiring this war machinery, right? Like I really do hate war. But that's a very interesting concept for a machine, a recoilless rifle.
A recoilless rifle is brought into action against...
Like, look at it. Did you guys even see it fire? It looks like a potato cannon, honestly. Like, ah, man, I feel like there's some people out there who are so interested in this. I don't really care about this gun, but I know that there are people thinking, whoa, I've never heard of a recoilless rifle before. Like, this thing is so interesting for some people, I'm sure.
Brought into action against the stubborn resistance.
Like, how does it work? How does the recoilless rifle work? I am curious even. I don't even like guns. I don't own a gun. I don't ever want to own a gun, but like, I'm curious about this one.
A machine gun lends its firepower as the advance gets fully underway.
Again, every single shot we're seeing, like, could be a life lost. We have no idea, no way of telling. I feel like it's important to remember as we watch this sort of stuff. I feel like it's very easy for me to be, like, disrespectful or, like, to shrug off this sort of conflict. So I'm really making an effort for us to understand the gravity and, like, to understand the gravity and, like, the lives at risk here. The lives at risk here, or else what is even the point of watching something like this? You know, like this is only valuable because it gives us more value of human life and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of why I'm trying so hard to not just, I don't know, admire people's guns.
A Chinese prisoner is brought in for questioning after the position is taken in a hard but surprisingly short fight.
This always amazes me too, like the fact that we took prisoners, like obviously it's good to take prisoners rather than just killing people, but like, I don't know, the fact that you could take a prisoner, I guess, it just seems so hard to get someone to like forfeit. I don't know, it just like, and I would never trust them either. I would always be suspicious of the prisoners, but like, I guess you have to take prisoners sometimes. Like you get information from them, it's just like, it's wrong to kill everyone too, like obviously, but that's just like another crazy aspect of war, I guess, is being taken prisoner. That is like, I hate to say it, but like that's actually like my dream come true, is like being captured as a soldier, but only being taken prisoner. Like obviously I know prisoners were like tortured a lot of the times, but like in a war setting, like it's better than being killed, you know? Like that's like my optimal path if I was ever a soldier who like got taken behind enemy lines, was just to be taken as a prisoner. Like I want that so bad as opposed to dying on the battlefield.
The PW is uncertain of what treatment to expect, and anticipating the worst, he warily eyes his captors as they execute only a thorough search.
What are they doing here, though? That doesn't seem... Oh, they are thoroughly searching him, though. They are searching for any weapons wherever you might be hiding them. That's funny. That's funny that we got footage of that. All right, 25th Division units cross the Han. I thought we had already crossed the Han River. I don't know. I feel like we already said that earlier. Maybe that wasn't the 25th Division, though. Let's see. Again, I love the happy-go-lucky music that they're playing for this part. I don't love it. I think it's a funny inclusion, a funny musical note to be playing while we're watching literal war footage. You know, like happy-go-lucky, like flutes, whistles, and all that sort of stuff as we're watching bombs being dropped.
On 7 March, assault troops of the U.S.
On 7 March. All right, so they did already pass. All right, interesting.
25th Infantry Division advanced to the Han River 15 miles east of Seoul.
Again, this is just crazy footage. This is actual historic footage of like the UN troops, I guess, crossing the Han River to push the battle back into North Korea. This is just, I don't know, this is a line on a map being moved right here is all I gotta say.
Elements of the 27th Regiment take time out for food before resuming the advance. Because of its frequent use in emergency action, this regiment has come to be known as the Fire Brigade.
The Fire Brigade? I feel like I have heard of that before. What is it, the 27th Division? Is that what he said? The Fire Brigade? I feel like I've heard that term. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like I'm familiar with the Fire Brigade.
On the south bank of the Han, an engineer bulldozer clears an approach for a floating bridge to be erected across the river. This bridge will accommodate the medium tanks and other heavy vehicles.
Yeah, I feel like that's also like an underappreciated aspect of like all wars. It's just like how much engineering it also takes to accomplish your goal, right? Like in a regular war before like this level of industrialization, you might not have been able to cross this river. You know, like the war might have ended right here because your tanks literally can't float, you know, like that might have been the thing that stopped you. But no, if you have engineers, you can actually build pontoons to cross the river. It's just like engineers help make war like even more possible. It's just, I don't know, I feel like you have to understand that as well, that like the war isn't just about soldiers, it's about like manpower and all forms of manpower, like intelligence and like actual physical strength. So like, I don't know, that's just a demonstration of that concept right here for you.
The 25th Division crossed.
This area looks really nice though. Like I will say, I was not expecting Korea to be like this mountainous and like pristine looking, but it looks pretty nice. It looks like an actually, I don't know, impressive landscape here.
Begins early. The craft were brought up from the rear during the long period of waiting since the United Nations troops first reached the Han early last month. Elements of this crossing encounter little or no enemy resistance.
Yeah, these guys all seem pretty chill for the fact that they're crossing like into enemy territory. It is pretty surprising that there are no like positions on this river. Maybe they've retreated already or something. It's just like, I don't know. I would always be on high alert in a situation like this. Like I wouldn't stop being on high alert until I got back to America.
Men of a heavy mortar squad prepare breakfast, but remain constantly on the alert.
Yeah, see, exactly. Like, you gotta keep constantly on the alert.
The call comes. The command to fire is given, and the crew swings into action.
And yeah, again, like they're just blowing up like some sort of like secret base in this mountain somewhere. That's also like crazy, is that there were so many like little tunnels and secret caves already. I don't know. It's just like seems like such a complex conflict. But that shot was just tanks rolling through like an actual village. I wonder if that shot was actually chronologically in order with the rest of these, or if that was just like another added shot. But it does seem like they are just like steamrolling through villages as well.
A tank adds its lethal punch.
It is funny, like, I don't mean to keep saying things are funny in this situation because, again, it's war, it's not funny at all, but, like, they are just taking pot shots at a mountain, you know? Like, none of them really know exactly where they're shooting, or at least it doesn't seem like they have an exact location. Like, they are just shooting at the mountain, it looks like. There probably is, like, one area that they're aiming for, but, like, when it's literally the side of a mountain, like, miles away, and you're shooting a cannon, like, how do you even aim for something like that? Like, they are just destroying the side of this mountain. But I guess that's the point, right? It's just destroy whatever people are using to reside in. So hang on, they have planes, they have mortars, and they have tanks, all dropping bombs on this one spot. Like, seems like they really needed to do that.
UN troops examine a deserted Chinese gun emplacement in the path of the advance.
A deserted Chinese gun emplacement. So again, this is implying that like the North Koreans and the Chinese are not really working in tandem with one another, or are they? I feel like they are, but like I don't know. It's weird that they're specifically mentioning Chinese rather than just communist or Korean or whatever. Like I don't know. I just feel like they would just be all communist if they were all working together like that.
A causeway for a footbridge across the Han is constructed.
Dang, I feel like these are the first actually Korean people we've seen in this whole video. But let me see, the guy's shoveling. You know what's funny? They actually do look like, this is gonna sound stupid, but like they look like my Korean friends. Like I don't know how else to say it, but like they do. They look Korean. I don't know.
A footbridge across the Han is constructed. Ducks are brought up to accommodate a greater number of troops in the crossing. Later, they do double duty by bringing back Chinese prisoners. A short 2 hours after the initial crossing, engineers are well along in their construction of a footbridge. This bridge will provide additional...
A footbridge? Not even a bridge for like the tanks. They're actually trying to make a bridge that they can walk across. See, like, I don't know, the Army Corps of Engineers deserves a lot more respect than it gets as well. Because it really is like incredible what these guys were able to build at like the snap of their fingers. Like, where do you even get the supplies for this? Are they traveling with these supplies or are they like getting them somehow? I don't even know. I don't even know what like the supply line for like the military was during this time.
Additional means of crossing for larger groups of infantrymen.
I guess that's probably somebody's whole job, right? Is just figuring out supplies in the army. I bet that's like a whole bunch of people's job in the army, really, is to figure out supplies. So that's pretty much all an army is just like getting supplies to the right place at the right time. So that begs the question then, how did they get these supplies? Were they brought up from behind the front lines? I think they were. I think they said that they had this position on the river for like a month already. So maybe there was time to ship all these building supplies up. This is really cool, though. I mean, again, I hate to describe anything related to war as cool, but this bridge alone, like, I don't know. I like the solutions, like this bridge is a clever solution to the problem they have at hand. Whether or not I like the advancement of their goals or whatever, I'm not here to speak about that. I am a purely anti-war person, so like, I'll never agree otherwise, but like, the bridge is an interesting engineering concept as well.
2 engineers have taken unexpected plunges into the cold water of the river, and men in an assault boat go to their rescue. The accident doesn't seem to dampen the spirits of either man, and soon the footbridge is completed and in operation.
That's funny. That's funny that they even bothered to mention that 2 guys fell in, Like, that's such a little detail that I just don't know why you would mention, except for the fact that they got footage of it, maybe. So maybe they had to explain it because they wanted to include the footage.
By late afternoon, the entire 25th Division is across the river and the day's objective is secured. The bridgehead is continually expanded, and by week's end, patrols are engaged in probing action 7.5 miles north of the Han.
See, again, like this is the literal moving of that line north of the Han River. Like that's what we're seeing in this moment. Like on all those physical maps of the Korean War and how the borders changed, like we are watching that take place in real time here. Okay, the UN troops near the 38th parallel. That's an important step right there.
By mid-March, the renewed United Nations offensive is rolling steadily forward, nearing the 38th parallel. Members of a 7th Division reconnaissance patrol strike northward through land from which the communist forces have been withdrawing rapidly, but in good order. The tank-reinforced patrol finds little opposition from the retreating Reds.
See, exactly. They said retreating Reds, not the retreating Chinese or the retreating Koreans, the retreating Reds. So every time they specifically go out of the way to include the Chinese, I don't know, it feels like they're separate somehow.
Communist resistance, which had
The flak wagon, that's what it's called? That's funny. Again, I don't know. I guess that's part of the soldier's humor. That's not a war thing, but like, I don't know. The fact that it's called the flak wagon is...
previously been stubborn at many key points. now seems to have collapsed in most areas. However, their withdrawal route is studded with anti-tank mines and booby traps.
I love how they were still just called booby traps. Like, even in a wartime setting, they're still booby traps. Like, can't you just call them traps? I don't know. I don't even know what booby really adds to the phrase there, but like, I don't know. That's funny. Booby traps. Like, when I think of booby traps, I think of like Home Alone, you know, which I guess is pretty applicable actually. Like, I feel like these are like Home Alone style booby traps that the Koreans set up for these guys. You know, that is a very funny concept. I hope I'll sell this idea to any North Korean movie companies. A Home Alone inspired like Korean War like epic, you know, like I think that would be hilarious, of like making little like, I don't know, traps for the soldiers to fall in. That might be a little bit crazy, but I feel like they would do it in North Korea. I feel like that would be a really popular movie in North Korea.
Mine detectors sweep the narrow roads.
Dang, shout out to this guy, the mine detector. That's like the last job I ever want, is just like walking up to mines and hoping I find them in time, you know? Like, I don't know, this guy's brave or he's really dumb. Or he had no choice in the matter.
Engineers repair a road dynamited by the retreating Reds. The collapse of communist resistance below the parallel seems to indicate that the Reds hope to prepare their spring offensive in North Korea, unmolested by UN ground attacks. The blasted area is quickly restored, and the patrol continues toward the boundary line.
See, again, it is like impressive just how fast they repair like this blown out mountainside, you know, like they blew up this road with dynamite and they still were able to cross it in like a matter of hours.
Enemy casualties are low as the communists, pulling back mostly at night, carry out their retreat according to careful plan.
Carry out their retreat according to careful plan. See, like, I'm so unfamiliar with war and war planning that, like, is there a retreat plan? Like, do you actually retreat in a organized way to improve your odds, or is it just like everyone abandoning ship? You know, like, I can only imagine it must be a little bit of both. Like, I bet the generals are telling everyone to hold their positions, but all the infantrymen are just like, nope, I see how it's going. Like, they have planes, we don't. Like, I'm running.
In its dash toward the parallel, the patrol passes through many gutted villages.
Many gutted villages. See, this is also important imagery for us to see. I hope they show us some of it.
Visual testimony of the toll of war.
A testimony of the toll of war. Like, I guess it's funny how they're like positioning themselves on the other side of it. It's like, man, who destroyed this North Korean village? Like, isn't war just so horrible? It's like, you guys did that. Like, you're the one, the village is destroyed by you. Like, the people you're attacking are the people defending their villages, you know? It's so bizarre.
One tank wallows in a stream, disabled by an enemy mine cleverly placed at the stream ford.
That is pretty clever. That is like, that shows that the enemy was thinking. That is very smart. You got to commend your enemy for that one. Like, you guys got us that time.
Although time is precious, an attempt is made to tow the disabled tank from the water. Operating on a strict schedule, the patrol is attempting to reach the 38th parallel and return during the daylight hours. The tank bogs down in midstream and has to be abandoned.
Dang, that's crazy. They would just abandon a tank like that. I wonder if it's still there, or if I wonder like what happened to this abandoned tank in the Han River. You know, like there is an interesting story behind this tank. Like it might still be in this river. You never know.
Loose equipment and removable armament are quickly stripped from the derelict tank.
That's funny how they literally take anything of value from the tank as well. That's smart, but that's like a little bit extra work too.
Near the parallel, Red rear guard positions are raked with .50 caliber fire.
It looks like they're just absolutely unleashing. I don't know what this position they're firing at looks like, but it seems like they're destroying it.
A few miles short of their objective, the patrol finds a demolished bridge blocking further advance and heads back to report on enemy activity encountered.
Okay, well, that was interesting. That's the end of it. No credits or anything. That's a shame. I guess I shouldn't have expected credits. So that was very interesting. I feel like we did get a very good look at what war in Korea was like. Like, we got to see what the equipment was like. We got to see what the people's tasks were like. We even got to see footage from planes, right? Like, we got to see all aspects of the battlefield, really, or at least it feels like that. But the thing that we didn't actually get that I wanted to is I actually wanted to like understand this war a little bit more. Like, obviously during this time, everyone who watched this already understood the context of the war, so it makes sense that they didn't explain it for us. But I don't know, I personally just wanted to understand like the reasons behind all these actions a little bit more. I wanted to actually understand like the justification behind the war, and I wanted to understand it from the North Korean side as well. I didn't really expect to get that, but I wanted like something. I wanted some sort of illustration of like the things that the people themselves actually thought about this war, and we didn't really get that. We only got like reports on what the soldiers were up to, which I guess I should have expected. It's literally called Combat Activities in Korea, not the Korean War Explained, so I guess that's on me for expecting that. Yeah, we didn't learn about really anything else besides the immediate actions of these soldiers, which I hope really did open some of your eyes into like what war was actually like back then. Like, I feel like that is the value of this program more than preserving people's perspectives on the war, like at least in this program's case anyway. This is more important to just understand what conflicts even looked like back then, like what it felt like, how things went down, like the fact that you have a whole troop of soldiers that you're just traveling all the way through this country with, like it puts the war in a different perspective than I feel like most of us have in our minds because of movies. Like, it really makes the war feel real and tangible. And every time you do that, you can convince people that war is a bad thing by making them feel the actual negative impacts of the war, right? Like, if you put people in the shoes of the soldiers who experienced the war, you can make people better empathize and sympathize with those undergoing war and those who are, forced to live through wars and all that. So yeah, I think I learned more about the US military than anything from this, though. And I feel like I should remind us all one last time that this is literal military propaganda. Like, they are only showing us the stuff that is going to improve our opinions of the UN military forces and the US at large, I imagine. So we have to keep that in mind. I don't know how propagandistic this was. This seemed like a pretty straightforward report on things actually happening. There's not a lot of opinion in this. So I don't know. I don't know how propagandistic this truly was, but it is still propaganda nonetheless. So it's important to keep in mind at all times. But yeah, I think this was good. I think this was definitely a good illustration of what the Korean War was like, or at least what being in the Korean War was like. Maybe not an understanding of the war, but at least understanding of the feeling of being in the war. Which I think is actually really important for us to understand. You always have to put yourself in the shoes of the people who experienced these things, or else they really won't make any sense to you. You won't understand why the Koreans, had such a negative reaction to Americans if you don't first understand how Americans interacted with Koreans originally. So this is very important history lesson right here. Hopefully not the last, though. I hope to be learning a lot more about Korea in the future. And if you want to help support me and this channel, you can follow the link in the description that'll take you over to the Internet Archive. The Internet Archive is where I get all of these old programs from. So if you want to support what I do here, go donate to them. And with that, I think we're ready to cut to black.